Hi. The extraction shooter genre appeared not too long ago, but it has already become one of the most intense and gripping. The idea is simple. You enter a dangerous zone, gather valuables, and you must escape alive. Any death means losing everything. Over the past few years, the genre has grown from a niche experiment into a massive trend. Now extraction can be anything: realistic military, fantasy, sci-fi, even single-player with roguelike elements. Let's take a look at the most interesting games that reveal this genre in their own way. Let's start with Marauders. This is what happens when a hardcore extraction shooter suddenly moves into a dark industrial space setting where World War I never truly ended. You're a space pirate crawling through abandoned stations, starship corridors, and asteroid mines in search of anything you can carry. In this retrofuturistic world, there are no lasers, only mid-20th century firearms, and instead of shiny suits, you wear diesel-punk armor and gas masks. Each raid begins on your ship. If you want, engage in a space shootout, board an enemy vessel, or dock with a derelict station to search for loot. The main highlight is ship combat and zero-gravity tactics. You can cripple an enemy corvette, cut through its hull, and storm inside, fighting in close quarters among sparks and floating debris. You can even steal the entire ship as a trophy. Dark and darker. The best example that an extraction shooter can work without guns at all. Here you're not in an abandoned factory, but in a dark dungeon filled with skeletons, mummies, traps, and other groups of adventurers. Each match is a descent into a procedural dungeon where both monsters and other players roam. You collect gold, artifacts, rare gear, and keep one thought in mind: how do I get out of here? A shrinking dark swarm tightens the map, forcing players toward the center. Extraction doesn't come by helicopter, it's done through portals. A blue portal lets only one person through, so the team must decide who leaves first and who stays to risk more. Red portals send you deeper, where rewards are better but death is almost guaranteed. RPG classes give the game a special charm. The fighter uses a shield, the cleric heals, the rogue sets traps, and the wizard burns half the room with a single spell. Vigor. This is an extraction shooter for those who enjoy not just shooting but surviving in true post-apocalyptic silence. The story takes place in snowy 1990s Norway after a nuclear war. The world is freezing, resources are priceless, and you're a wanderer searching abandoned valleys, villages, and forests for anything that might help you survive another day. Each run is a small open world where up to 12 players land. Some rush to raid stashes, others quietly search homes, and some set up ambushes waiting for survivors. The one rule is simple: grab loot and get to the exit before someone finds you. But everything changes when an airdrop falls from the sky. A valuable crate turns calm, scavenging into chaos as players converge from all directions and the map erupts in firefights. Everyone has their own bunker, a shelter you can upgrade, produce ammo in, and craft weapons using whatever you manage to extract. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction. This is what happens when Siege's tactics merge with a sci-fi horror atmosphere. No player versus player here, only you, a team of 3 operators, and a mutating alien threat spreading across US cities. You're a special forces unit tasked with entering contaminated zones, completing objectives, and getting out alive. Each mission is made up of 3 consecutive subzones. In the first, you quietly eliminate weak parasites. In the second, you rescue a missing teammate. And in the third, you hold off mutants while saving your last bullets. After each stage, you can extract and keep your progress, or risk going deeper for better rewards. But if someone dies, they're marked as MIA, and you'll need a separate rescue mission to bring them back. There are 18 operators from Siege, each with unique abilities: scanners, decoys, shields, sensors. Gtfo. This game doesn't pretend to be friendly. It's a true co-op horror hell where 4 prisoners, following orders from a mysterious warden, descend deeper into an abandoned underground complex filled with biomechanical creatures. Each mission is a massive maze you must search slowly and carefully. Light, footsteps, even opening a door can trigger an alarm. Sleepers need only a small mistake to awaken an entire swarm. That's why most of the gameplay is tense stealth. You sneak in the dark and take out enemies with melee weapons. But if someone slips up, the game turns into pure carnage where every bullet matters. Lost Light. This is an easy entry ticket into the world of extraction shooters. It's not as brutal as the others, but it still gives you that same feeling of risk when you've got valuable items in your backpack and the extraction point is still far away. Players enter a half-ruined city of the future ruled by looters, mercenaries, and armed gangs. The runs follow the classic style of the genre. You enter the map, gather weapons, armor, money, electronics, complete tasks, and look for the right moment to get out alive. But Lost Light focuses heavily on accessibility. Shooting is more arcade-like, the interface is simple, and there's auto-looting and helpful hints. The most unique feature is the enemy rescue system. If you severely injure another player, you don't have to finish them off. You can offer them a chance to surrender and even pick them up as a temporary ally. Sometimes this turns a match into an unexpected truce against stronger AI enemies, and those moments stick with you. The Forever Winter. This is a rare example of an extraction game where the real horror isn't PvP, but the environment itself. The world has fallen into eternal winter after a global catastrophe, and the surface now belongs not to humans but to massive AI-controlled war machines. People hide underground, and only small squads venture to the surface to gather resources. The surface is literally a battlefield that lives on its own. Mechs and drones fight each other, patrol ruins, collect bodies, and destroy anything that moves. You're not a hero with a railgun, you're a tiny speck that can be erased by the first combat bot that notices you. Gameplay revolves around quiet and careful movement. Ammo is valuable, firepower is almost useless against giant machines, so stealth becomes your main tool. You have to avoid searchlights, hide among buildings, distract enemies with sound, and grab loot from right under the robot's feet. Trying to fight openly almost always ends in instant death. Level 0, Extraction. This is an asymmetric horror game where players try to complete objectives and escape a dark underground complex while two others play as monsters. The humans move through labyrinths, gather valuable loot, power generators, and try to stay together. The monsters are fast creatures that are almost invisible in the dark. They crawl through vents, kill the lights, attack from ambush, and constantly force you to look over your shoulder. Extraction works by classic rules. If at least one player reaches the exit, they survive and take the loot. If the monsters kill everyone, the mission fails. Witchfire. This is a dark fantasy shooter that blends roguelite, souls-like, and extraction elements. You play as a sinner sent into the cursed domains of a witch to retrieve powerful artifacts. Each raid is a solo expedition into dangerous regions filled with demons, undead, and servants of black magic. The structure is simple. You enter a location, collect witchfire and trophies, upgrade weapons and abilities. At any moment, you can return to your refuge and save the loot, or take the risk and go deeper for better rewards. But death cuts everything off. You lose Witchfire and part of your loot just like in a Souls-like. You can try to reclaim what you lost, but the odds aren't great. Combat is fast and stylish. Old muskets, spell-infused shotguns, magical abilities, and random arcana that change your run's playstyle. Shatterline. A dynamic free-to-play FPS that includes PvP and a vibrant co-op mode called Expedition. 3 fighters enter contaminated zones, complete objectives, progress through several stages, and try to extract the whole team at the end. Along the way, they find modules, upgrades, and weapons, but if the team dies before the finale, the entire run is wiped. Players choose their own risk level. After each stage, you can push forward with higher difficulty or return to the ship. At higher levels, enemies and bosses require tight coordination and smart use of abilities. Quasimorph. This is a rare mix of a tactical roguelike, turn-based RPG, and extraction mechanics. You run your own private military company in the distant future, take on corporate contracts, and send clone mercenaries to stations, ships, and bases infested with monsters and demons. The task is simple: complete the mission, gather valuable loot, and evacuate. Each run is a turn-based journey through grid-based locations with tough firefights, mutated enemies, and limited resources. Death is merciless. A dead clone loses everything, and expensive weapons vanish forever. If you survive, the loot goes to your base, where you can upgrade the HQ, craft gear, level up your soldiers, and build different classes: tank, medic, saboteur, or marksman. If you want hardcore solo extraction, but not as a shooter, as thoughtful tactical gameplay, this is the perfect option. Hunt Showdown. This game brings the extraction genre into the grim Louisiana swamps of the late 19th century. Wetlands, horrific creatures, rotting farms, and old cowboy-era weapons. You're a bounty hunter tracking a dangerous monster for a hefty reward, but other players want that reward too, and they can take it by force. Players drop into a large map, search for clues, track down the boss, and fight it. After the kill comes the most terrifying part. The expedition turns into a hunt for the team that won. During the banishing ritual, the entire map knows your exact location. To win, you must carry the bounty to the boat or wagon and survive the attempts of other hunters to intercept you. It's one of the most unique representatives of the genre. Audio design plays a key role. A creaking door, barking dogs, a flock of crows, everything reveals your position. Fights use old-school firearms, and shootouts are short, brutal, and nerve-wracking. Hawked. A light, cartoony, and very dynamic variation of the extraction shooter formula. This is a game about treasure hunters who land on cursed islands filled with traps, puzzles, and hostile creatures. Teams run through jungles and temples, unlock ancient mechanisms, solve riddles, fight monsters, and occasionally fight each other. If you die, you lose the loot from that run, but your character progression and most of your equipment stay with you. The main highlight is the sense of adventure: platforming, secrets, mysterious altars, and surprise traps. It's extraction for those who want something less hardcore, more fun, and more accessible, with a bright style and the feel of a cooperative treasure hunting escapade. Arc Raiders. A large, cinematic extraction shooter made by former Battlefield developers. It takes place on a ruined Earth invaded by mechanical armies. Players are raiders who venture into dangerous zones for resources, tech, and contracts, constantly balancing between loot, other survivors, and deadly robots. Each raid is a mix of exploration, hunting, and intense clashes with other players. If you die, you lose everything you brought, so every item becomes a gamble. Massive maps, vertical environments, advanced enemy AI, and impressive visuals on Unreal Engine 5 create the feeling of a huge living war where you're just a small part of the chaos. Arena Breakout. A hardcore tactical extraction shooter with a free-to-play model. It takes place in a region where multiple military companies fight for profit and control. Players enter large maps, farms, valleys, industrial zones, cities, gather loot, complete contracts, and try to escape. Death means losing absolutely everything. The main feature is ultra-detailed weapon customization. Hundreds of real-life parts, sights, compensators, grips. Each module affects accuracy, recoil, and handling. Ballistics are realistic, the sound is authentic, and injuries are simulated with bleeding, fractures, and character fatigue. Legacy, Steel and Sorcery. This game brings the extraction formula into full-scale fantasy. Instead of rifles, you've got swords, bows, shields, and destructive spells. Instead of warehouses and industrial zones, dangerous forests, ancient dungeons, and ruined temples. Players head into raids across huge open areas, gather resources, hunt monsters, collect rare materials, and run into other adventurers. The goal is standard: get the loot out through one of the extraction points. Death wipes everything you've collected, and the best items have to be crafted again or bought. Combat plays like an action RPG with dodging, parrying, abilities, and team roles. Between raids, your character stays in the hub, crafting gear, upgrading skills, and progressing through different professions. The extraction shooter genre is now actively evolving. Developers are experimenting with the formula, adding new settings, unusual mechanics, and pushing the concept far beyond traditional military shooters. It'll be interesting to see what this genre becomes in a couple of years. The Image Game Channel was with you. Have a nice day.